Hello. If we were in school this week, we would be going outside to perform an experiment to measure your speed. Um, so if we're doing this at home, it's going to require a little bit of ingenuity to work out how we could do this. So we said last week that speed was the sort of change in distance in a certain amount of time. So if we want to calculate the speed of something, we're going to need to know the distance it travels, and we're going to need to know the time it takes to travel that distance. So let's have a think about how we could do that. If we were outside on the field, we might measure a distance using trundle wheel. So we might measure out 100 meters using the trundle wheel, and then we might time how long it takes you to run that distance using a stopwatch. So in that little description of the experiment there, I've told you what you're going to measure and what measuring instrument you're going to use. Measure the distance using a trundle wheel. Measure the time using a stopwatch. And then you need to go and explain how you would actually calculate the speed using the distance and the time. So we'd use the equation speed is distance divided by time. So how are we going to do this type of experiment at home? Well, you could measure out some distance in your back garden or inside your house, which you could use to walk along or run along. Alternatively, perhaps you could use a ball or a toy car or something and measure the speed of that, say, across your desk or across your kitchen table. So what I want you to do is to write a method for your experiment. So you must explain what you're going to measure and with what measuring equipment you'll measure it. So just like the measure the distance of 100 meters along the field using a trundle wheel. So write up a method that you can use to find the speed of some object or in your house or yourself. So pause the video here and do that. So if you're back from the pause now, you have a method for your experiment which should be in the format of measure a distance using some measuring device, and then measure a time taken for something to happen using a particular measuring device. So the next thing we're going to need is a table. So you're going to need 3 columns in your table. You're going to need distance, you're going to need time, and you're going to need speed to put the result of your calculation into. Make sure you have the correct units in your table headings. You can't just write distance. I want to know what unit it's measured in. So perhaps it is meters, perhaps it's centimeters, whatever you've used. And so get the unit for time and then get the correct unit for speed. So if you go away now and do your experiment, I want you to repeat the experiment at least 3 times. 5 would be better. So we get 5 repeats so that we can calculate the speed in each case, and then you can calculate the overall mean or average speed. Okay, so pause the video here and go and carry out your experiment. So if you're back from the pause now, hopefully you've managed to calculate the speed for each of your 5 repeats, and you've managed to calculate the average speed by adding up the 5 different speeds you got and dividing the result by 5. So if you have a look on Moodle, there is a PDF file there under this week's work, which is measuring your speed activity. So what I'd like you to have a look at now are questions 3, 4, 5, and 6 on that sheet. Okay, thank you very much.